Hi YouTube and welcome back to my garden. It is May and today we are doing the May garden tour. Little late in the month for this, it's almost the end of the month, but so much has been going on in May. It's the month of flowers, everything is fruiting and everything is budding, and the change from April has been incredible. If you haven't seen the April tour, I'll put it up here. Please make sure to check that out. Because it's always amazing to see how different things look from April to May. So without further ado, let's take a look at what's going on in the garden. So Nigel told me that my backyard garden looks like it's out of control, but I think it looks pretty fantastic. So in the backyard garden, it is completely full and everything is growing. I don't have room for anything else. This trellis here is for my pole beans. So I have Blue Lake pole beans on either side, and then I have cucumbers in the middle that are all doing super fantastic. So in the middle are my General Lee cucumbers, and then on either side I have pickling cucumbers, which are, you can tell the difference because they're a little bit smaller in the leaves. All of my beets are in here around the kale, and they're all doing fantastic. My kale is taken off. We have more pole beans going on in the back. My peas I have been battling with all month. Every time it rains, the slugs go absolutely crazy, and the peas seem to be their favorite snack. So I have literally been out here in the rain with a pair of tweezers trying to save my peas. And I think I've been somewhat successful, because you can see in the back, they are finally flowering. So I think this year I will actually end up with some peas, which makes me incredibly happy. We have a very healthy diet of lettuce and spinach right now. And my volunteer tomatoes for my compost are going crazy. I decided just to leave them be and see what happens. I'm totally happy with volunteer anything. Potatoes are starting to flower. So they'll flower, the flowers will die, and then they'll start drying up, and then I can harvest them. No shortage of mint or herbs. Sage is going happy. I have some holy basil planted down here. Oregano planted over here. Lemon balm's going nuts. And then my clematis and my climbing hydrangea are just starting to flower. This is a very late flowering climbing hydrangea. My neighbor's has already flowered. This one will probably have flowers by next month. And my fig tree, a little bit of a late bloomer this year, but it is still alive, which is making me incredibly happy. Back in the raised beds, everything is doing fantastic. All the radishes have been pulled out and replanted, so that's my second sowing of radishes. Turnips, carrots, collard greens, all doing really, really well. Leeks, almost getting ready to harvest. They're doing fantastic. Garlic doing fantastic. Onions from last year, you can see in the back, are starting to bolt, which is totally okay. I'll leave those be. And in the second raised bed, all of the tomatoes have been planted, the peppers have been planted. So we have California Wonder peppers, jalapeno peppers, dew-pice tomatoes, and Brandywine cherry tomatoes, as well as some onions left over from last year. These guys all got planted with bone meal and blood meal to help prevent blossom end rot and to help develop some more leafy greens. The Brandywine cherry tomatoes had a bit of a rough start. They had some fungus gnats that were eating the leaves, so they all got a garlic bath to help prevent them. The stew pice are the hardiest tomatoes I've ever seen. They're doing fantastic. And the back corner garden has been completely planted. The corn is doing really well. We're doing the Three Sisters method this year, so we have pole beans planted at the base of the corn that haven't quite germinated yet. And this big trench here has squash planted in it. And we have Walla Walla onions, candy cane beets, some sort of carrot seeds I've had for a while, dwarf green kale, bush beans, and spaghetti squash. So I'm doing this trench method. So ideally when it rains, these trenches will fill up with water and flood and help soak the whole area. That way I don't have to worry about watering it quite as much. This was all just planted last weekend on May long weekend, so it hasn't quite germinated yet. But I think it's a good staggering. So I have carrots in my raised bed, beets in my backyard garden, and then those were all planted about 4 weeks before the ones here were planted. So it's a good staggering of plants. And then back along the wall of our unit, we have my wildflower bed. So we've got calendula in here, poppies in here, and then we have sunflowers that will be going in the back. It has been absolutely taken over by volunteer dill, which I have no problem with because, again, I love volunteer plants. They can go as nuts as they want. But this should be a beautiful pop of color once everything's up. My Flanders poppies are starting to bud, so we should have some nice color here soon. So that's it for the garden for this month. As you can see, everything is doing fantastic. Lots of blooms, lots of activity going on. How's your garden looking for May? Do you have everything planted? Did you plant everything you were hoping to plant? Let me know how it's going and let me know what you're growing down in the comments. I look forward to seeing you next month in June's garden tour.